For me, being able to do the project that we did with Hartford Public Library was awesome. So they have a incredible media program that they've developed there. Specifically, an incredible youth media program called their U Media project is incredible. They have full-fledged studios, like students are recording there, they're making songs, they're making art, like they're learning how to use Pro Tools, they learn how to use Ableton, Logic Pro, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they approached me a couple of years ago because they were looking to expand the UMedia program so that it could incorporate like essentially like an 18 plus like section for folks who may graduate out of the student system specifically, but they still want to be involved with the music at Hartford Public Library. So I was like, okay, cool. This is like awesome. That sounds wonderful to me. And they were looking to acquire a grant. And with that grant, they were like, what we need is essentially like a like how we're going to like budget out what we're using this grant money for. And I was like, okay, cool. What I think makes the most sense is to get a suite of new MacBook Pros that students are able to use and adults are able to use that they're able to, podcast on, they're able to produce on, they're able to record on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll actually create the list of all the required software and hardware. And I'll also put some of my own sound kits and like my own personal sound library onto those computers so that if anybody wants to just go in, pick up and play, they can pick up and play, essentially. And then on
Nice.
top of that, we created a education program and I taught there. I did I think I did 8 courses there. And it was all like introduction to digital audio workstation stuff. So I take a really foundational approach to my education, music education based stuff. So I like to very much so start on ground zero with people. I'm like, do you know where the play button is? Do you know what DAW means even? Because a lot of the students that I had in my class at HBO Studios were older women of color.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
within that, it was really cool to be able to have conversations with them where it's like, I'm like, essentially, it was during the holiday season where we had these classes. So after the holiday break, they came back, and one of the one of the students came to me and they said, um, I saw my nieces and nephews like making music on like BandLab, and I was like, "Oh, what DAW are you using?" And they all looked at me like I had 6 heads, and I was like, That's exactly like what we want." You know what I'm saying? It's like
Hmm.
it's like that connection then immediately happens because like, oh, you actually know what we're doing and you're invested and you care. Like, it's not just like, "Oh, get off the computer." It's like, "Oh, actually, like, let's be on the computer together and try this thing and, like, see what we can make of it," you know?
Yeah.
And then we had folks that were, like, doing podcasts, like, with their children, like, in the class, and I'm just like, "This is sick, like, this is awesome." Like, being able to teach them and show them how to use Logic so that they could even potentially, like, read books for their kids and have recordings of those books that they read for those kids and stuff like that. So like it was a very cool way of kind of taking my brain and reframing it as well too, and thinking outside the box of just like, oh, we're making songs in the studio and we're using this software to make songs in the studio, and thinking about how everyday people can be using the software as well too, and
Hmm.
how it can actually like improve their quality of life by giving them an opportunity to express themselves creatively, because that will always create an improvement in quality of life on a cultural level if people have the opportunity to express themselves creatively.
I feel like what I'm hearing you say is that there's a lot of people in the music industry that talk about supporting independent artists and the importance of independence, but you're going to like a more community level, a more grassroots level where it's like, well, how do you even become an artist? You can't even become an independent artist if you don't even have access to the technology or the tools, and you're really just bringing that stuff. Whether you're going to schools with an instrument company, or you're in the public library with people who are like, I want to make music, I don't even know where to start. It's really interesting to think about that whole conversation around independent artists at this level. It's like at the entry level point to be an independent artist, you have to have access to technology, you have to have access to learning about how to make sound and music.
A thousand
um,
percent. And then in some ways also to think about it practically on a marketing level, put my marketing hat on for a quick second. The overhead of the investment that you have to make on a lot of community engagements is a lot smaller than
Mhm.
these major city activations and installations that people
Mhm.
do. And the reality of the situation is most of the people who are going to be your consumers are people who are not in those major cities. They're in the flyover states, and I'm
Yeah.
from a flyover state, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. So
Yeah,
I
totally.
I I kinda take that personally.
Yeah.
So,
Totally. I get that.
within that, like, the way I look at it is if you want brand loyalty, then find a way to reach the single mother of 2 that has to go to Best Buy and figure out what she's getting her kids for Christmas, and she'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna go with the company that was at the Boys and Girls Club,"
Mm, mm,
instead of, the company. And if there's a content creator that's associated with it as well too, even better.
mhm.
But the
Yeah.
the overhead of that is so much lighter than trying to go viral, quite frankly, and it just makes sense.